Hi everyone, and welcome to episode 19 of the At the Window podcast. I'm your host Claire, and I'm coming to you from a different angle today. Normally I sit at my window during the daytime, and hence the name At the Window, but I haven't really found the time to do it at the weekend at the moment. During the day, and I thought I'd just try a different angle. So I'm sat. So normally you're facing this back wall here and my table is here. So I'm sat at my table with you precariously stacked on a few boxes. And Frida cat has just come to say hello. So we'll see if she wants to knock things over, which probably she will. I've got some fleece which I bought, which I'm going to show you. And it's in a bag here and she loves the smell of it. She tries to eat it because she's annoying. So she'll probably try and go for that. But anyway, so I've not spoken to you guys for a while. I think I haven't spoken to you since Christmas. When did I do the last one? I've got my knitting notebook here, and I do actually keep quite good notes now. Podcast 18, it was after Christmas, that was it. So I've not really, I've not spoken to you at all. I haven't really been that active on like the Instagram and Ravelry and stuff recently, just because I've just been quite busy. I started my new job in January. If you can hear Frida crunching away, sorry, but she needs to eat. Yeah, so I started my new job in January, so it's all been getting back into a routine, because obviously before Christmas I was off for quite a long period of time, and then when I went back to work I wasn't really doing much work, so it was kind of like just an extended holiday. And then obviously I've started my new job and it's so much better. It's I'll get into knitting in just a minute, but it's so much better. It's a much better environment. The work ethic and like the work environment is 1,000 times different from where I worked before. There's no pressure to stay late, like no pressure to just burn out. My boss is so nice, like absolutely a different world from my old boss, who was a bully, sexist, old-fashioned, said so many awful things that like I repeat them to people and they kind of find it hard to believe that he said those things to me. So my new boss is just the complete absolute opposite. He's really lovely. He's just a world of difference, and the people in my team are really nice. I had really lovely people in my old team. It's really such a better environment for me, so I'm really more enjoying it. But Frida's got this new little football thing my mum bought her, and she loves it, and she like chases it around the flat. So yeah, I've got a cup of coffee today in my little hummingbird mug. This was it's quite a special mug actually. I got this from the Wedgwood Pottery Factory in Stoke-on-Trent, which is where my grandma lived, and I went with her to this place and it was like a special thing I bought myself because I wanted something from there. That's Frida with the football. So yeah, let's get into knitting. I've kind of got a lot of stuff, so I think I might do this in a bit of a reverse order, maybe. I think I'll show you what I finished first. Let's just go a bit off-piste and show you what I finished. I've got 2 finished objects to actually show you. One of them is in the washing machine and it's a bit wet, so I need to get them out, and there's some socks, and like lay them out flat to block. So, oh no, I've only got one because I showed you one last time actually, but I did want to. Oh no, I wasn't. No, okay, never mind. Ignore that. So yeah, I've got 2, and they're in this rustly paper bag. So the first one, which I had cast on when I saw you last. No, I don't think I had actually. So these are the Time to Reap mittens, and I did have the pattern lying around. I can't remember who it's by, but I'll put the link to them down below, and you can also go to my Ravelry, which is C Gallagher 21, and all my projects are like linked on there to the pattern. So these are the Time to Reap mittens. I don't think it's a free pattern. It's not very expensive if it was. And these are some fingerless mittens. Let me just take that ring off and I'll show you. So I wanted some long slouchy ones, and that's what I've got. I took these on holiday with me, which I've just come back from, and they got a lot of wear actually, because we were on a boat for part of it, and yeah, they were super cozy. So they're quite long. They're supposed to be worn slouchy. Yeah, they're just lovely. I made the bigger size, but just because I've got quite chunky arms. So it's got this really lovely lace detailing around the top. It's kind of like a triangle detail. Hope you can see that. Maybe hold it against there. And then this little garter stitch detail, and yeah, the yarn is absolutely gorgeous. It's Whimsy's Sakuzu O in the, I want to say Tiger's Eye colourway. I think it's that. Or yellow, no. Maybe it's because it reminds me of Tiger's Eye. It's like yellow ochre maybe, or something. Do I have it written down at the beginning of this book? Burnt ochre, that was it. So I do have it written down. So what I did in this notebook is wrote a list of all the yarns I have, which some I can cross off, but then I also have to add some to it. So I can tick that one off now. I wonder what else I've got on here that I could tick off. Oh, a couple. Oh, yeah, that feels nice. It ticks off my stash. I haven't added to it, obviously, but yeah, that's 3 that I've used up there. So that's good. Anyway, back to podcast. So these mittens, yeah, the Time to Read mittens on Ravelry, lovely, slouchy, pattern is great, really easy to follow, really quick knit as well, and a bit like doing a sock, but yeah, about the same as doing a sock really, except we don't have to kitchen or anything. And I've got quite a lot of this yarn left over, so that's going to go into, what have you got there, Frida? My ring. No, you've got all these toys on the floor and yet you're playing with this. She's a funny one. Should we see if you want to say hello to the camera? Come here. Oh, Frida. Hello. Look, it's you. Say hello up here. Come on. Oh, there's a pretty girl. Come on up here. Yay. Look at you. You're so gorgeous. So gorgeous. Hello. She went for a little holiday at my mum and dad's when I went on holiday, and they really loved having her. They absolutely spoilt her. And are you watching yourself? Are you just tolerating being held by me? Oh, I'm absolutely besotted with her. So, yes, if you couldn't tell already from the amount of times I talk about her on my podcast. Yes, I'll talk about her being on holiday anyway. So yeah, really like these mittens, really quick knit, love the yarn, really warm. Whilst I was away, we had loads of snow here, and they would have been perfect during the snow, because before I went away it was a really cold couple of weeks, like really like freezing temperatures every day, and it wasn't really warming up like during the day, and I would drive to work and my coat, it's got like, it's not a short sleeve, I've just got really long arms and they end quite low, so I wanted something that covered like between my coat and my hands, so but I could still drive, because I don't like having mittens on whilst I drive, because I feel like you don't have as much control over the steering wheel. So yeah, I really love those. So those are another mitten to add to my collection. I've got quite a few now, but really like making them. They create really nice. This yarn is just absolutely gorgeous. I'm trying to get it to show up a bit more. There you go, that's kind of like a right true representation there, and it's like this lovely stripy effect because of the way it's been dyed, but not striped, if that makes sense. So, oh, sorry, yeah, my mittens. The other thing I've got to show you, which is the reason why it's in this bag, because I'm really sad about this. So I finished my All About That brioche shawl, and I love it. I wore it to death and it's now got a hole in, which I need to, basically I want to ask your advice on how I fix this. It's got a little hole in here where you can see, I think the yarn had like a knot in and I must have not realised and it snapped. So I'm really pissed off about that for one, and just really sad because I really love this shawl. It's the, that's a bit of thread, all about that brioche shawl by Geneva's Matte Founder, talked about it. Lisa Haynes. Where's the camera? That person there. Yeah, it's a lovely shawl and it's one that I wear so often, and it really goes with everything that I wear, and it's just really, like, I just wear it like this to wear. It goes with everything that I wear. It's so warm, it's so soft. I didn't block it because I didn't want to take away the squishiness of it, and I've not blocked brioche, so I'm a bit iffy about that. But yeah, I wore it out to unravel with my friends and then I realised it had this hole in. I don't really know what to do with it, so if anyone's got any advice on how to repair something. So I don't know if you can see here, like these two bits have come apart and I think I need to do some sort of like duplicate stitch almost, like you can see right through it. But I don't know how. I've looked at how to darn and I could probably darn it. I've got some of the yarn left over here. Though Frida did chew on the end of this piece, so it's a bit crunchy. But I've got enough of the yarn left over, but I'd really appreciate if anyone watching this could point me in the right direction. If they've had a similar experience, a similar accident, and they know how to fix it. I'm going to give it a go maybe tomorrow in the daylight. Now I'm back from holiday and over jet lag and stuff, because it happened right before I went. But yeah, it just makes me really sad because I'm absolutely in love with this. And it was so the two yarns used were, this colour is the La Bien-Aimée Driftwood Graffiti, which is beautiful. And then the grey is Madeline Tosh Merino Light Kitten, and that's just their singles base. So we have a little scratch, Frida. She's trying to jump onto her thing and sort of failed, and I've put stuff on her bed, so she's going to be unhappy about that. She's got this little radiator bed next to me. There you go. But you don't want to sit up there now, do you? Go on, get up there. Let me see if I can turn you and show you. There she is. Rita. Good offer her, and she doesn't even want to sit there. But yeah, that is the long story of the shawl. Absolutely love it. Love knitting it. It's great. I think I said it before, but it's a great brioche project if you don't know how to do brioche. The instructions are so well written. I've made 2 of these now, and we'll probably make more because it's a really great 2-colour shawl which uses up most of the yarn. Let's move the ball a bit. Have I knocked it on the floor, which is what Frida wants? I don't know. So it uses up most of the yarn. Here it is. And yeah, you don't really have much left over, which I like because I don't like having balls like this left over because I just don't. And it's really wearable. It's great shape. Realised I really like the triangle shapes shawls like this. Yeah, so I'm a bit sad about that, so I'm going to give it a go tomorrow maybe. But yeah, if anyone watching this has any suggestions on what I can do to rescue it, I would be appreciative because I'm really sad. So those are my finished objects. Really not that much. I did have some socks, like I said, but they're in the wash. So I'll show you those again, but they were out. They were my Christmas Eve cast on, which I finished just January. We're in March now. So yeah, that was the yarn that it was from. So yeah, that's those. So now let's move on to, let me put this rustly bag down. Away, put it there. Sorry. Works in progress. So, I just need to do a bit of shifting around because I've got all manner of things on this table. So, I'm having a bit of a project moment. I want to try and get through everything that I've got on my needles and then start a bunch of stuff afresh. So it's not going to happen, but I just like to think mentally that maybe it might happen because I know what I'm like. Right, so let's start with this project in here. This is my Spindrift shawl by Helen Stewart. Yeah, Helen Stewart, Curious Handmade or whatever she's called. I've only got, I've got two pictures actually. It is a paid for pattern, but if you sign up to her mailing list, free to discover the plastic bag. I'm going to put that back in your bed because you weren't sitting on there. Yeah, if you sign up to her mailing list on her website, I got it for free. I don't know if that's something you do all the time, but that she does all the time, but yeah. The pattern is, it's a crescent shawl. Looks like that, so it's pretty plain stockinette, and then it's got this detail here, and then here's another picture of it there. Yeah. I like this pattern a lot because of how it's, I'm not going to tell you anything to show you this, it just says right side and wrong side and stitch counts, and then it tells you how many stitches you should have at the end of the row and what percentage through you are, so that's really good. Sorry for the rustling, it's over now. And then in my lovely little project bag my mum made me, which everything I own is covered in fluff now I have Frida. It's a hazard of the trade. It's not a trade. Yeah, this is something that I'm a bit apprehensive about now after the... Frida, she's now on her belly trying to get under a cabinet. After the problems with the other yarn. This is the Life Aquatic colourway by La Bien-Aimée. I'm trying to get it so it shows properly. It's a minty green with like these really bright speckles, and I got this in Amsterdam when I went last year. So this is what I've done so far. It's kind of like that weird shape at the moment. Try and stretch it out as long as it goes. This one will need blocking to get it into the right shape. So that's the top, and then it goes down, and I've just started the pattern bit, so I'm enjoying it actually. Frida. There you go, you can see the colours a bit better here. It does need a block because my pearls are not very neat, and stockinette I can do pretty neatly, but purling, even though I've been trying really hard with this shawl, it's just not very neat. Yeah, so I think that'll be quite nice. Again, another bright one to wear with a lot of the grey stuff, the black stuff I wear, and it's not too out there, but it's a bit of something different. I thought it'd be nice for spring, and yeah, and if I decide it's maybe a bit too bright for me, I might give it to my mum or someone else who would wear it, which I'll think about it. I do like it, but it's just a bit pastel for me, but you know, we shall see. And then that's in, yeah, this little bag, which I thought was quite springy and appropriate. So I've talked about the yarn. I'm using the needles called for in the pattern. So just look on Ravelry, and I told you about the pattern. So yeah, that one's coming along. That's quite good TV knitting because at the moment it's been the stockinette with some bits at the either end. So it's pretty easy to do while you're just jet lagged, not hungover, and watching TV. So the next one, which hasn't been worked on since before I went away, is my, what's it called? September Morn sweater by Thea Coleman / Baby Cocktails, which I still think is a very strange Name, trying to find you one that's got the best picture. This one's probably the best. There it is. So it's like a roll neck jumper with long sleeves, raglan, top down. Got some detailing here or there. That's the way it goes, isn't it? Yeah, raglan detailing. Got some details around the sleeve and around the hem, so it's really nice. By Thea Coleman. Paid for pattern, but really well written, I think, actually. So I did a swatch of all things, washed it, blocked it and everything. Yeah, it washes really nicely, this yarn. It's really soft. It's the Drops Nepal mix, which is 65% wool and 35% alpaca. And this is the light grey mixed colourway, I want to say. It's definitely light grey something. It's colour 500. And I've got loads of it over there, but I've only got 3 balls in here because that's all I need. So it's actually starting to look like a sweater now, which is amazing. Let me try and get this into a right shape for you guys. So I want to work on this a bit more because I want this to be done. Well, it will be done for when it gets cold, but I'd like to wear it a bit before it gets warm for spring. So there we go. Look at it. It's going to be so nice. I didn't do the roll neck as long as it called for because I thought that would be enough and I didn't want it to be like up here. So there we go. You can see the raglan detailing and then the sleeves are starting to appear here, and then this bit is the front. Yeah, so I'm really enjoying that, and I know once I split the sleeves it'll go quite quickly. And yeah, I've got these really lovely stitch markers on here, which I think I showed you guys. They're these little ones from Rebecca's Room, who's a fairly local maker to me. I think she's Farnham because I've seen her at the Maltings and Ravel and stuff like that. So they're these little copper jump rings with green. I don't be able to see that because my fingers are too fat. Oh, almost went in my tea. Yeah, little copper jump rings with a green bead on, which I thought were lovely. I think I got like the last set. So yeah, they're very me. Copper and green. Yeah, I'm really loving this, and I need to just pick it up and do a bit more on it really because I want to get it done. And this was one of my Make 9 projects, which this is the only one that I've done. So I want to get a move on and get this done because I've got some yarn waiting for the next one, which I showed you last time. It's the green drops as well. So yeah, that's that lovely thing. And yeah, I would recommend the pattern. It's quite useful. It's quite wordy, the only thing I would say. So what I've done is I've gone through and like highlighted. I've just shown you that very quickly. You're not going to see anything. Gone through and highlighted which stitch count I've got, so I can see it like at quite a quick glance. And the only thing I would say is, for example, when you're like increasing, she'll be like, or you're doing a bit of ribbing, so she'll say like, for example, this isn't the pattern, but like knit one, purl one, knit one, purl one, knit one, purl one, knit one, purl one, whatever, times 2, and then it would just be written out quite, I don't really know explaining it very well. So this isn't giving anything away. So it says knit across the first marker, make one, and then it's like in brackets, purl one, knit one, purl one, knit 2, purl one, knit one, purl one, and then it says make one, purl one, and it's written out very long, so like a whole row is written out like this long, which is fine. It's just you kind of have to be awake and pay attention to, well, I do have to be awake and pay attention to know where you're up to, because I find it quite easy to lose where I'm up to, basically. So that was really badly worded. Yep. Next project in my lovely autumn project bag, even though it's not autumn anymore, so this should probably be moved, is a crochet blanket, which isn't my granny stripe blanket. I know. My lovely crochet friends So there's a couple of girls we meet on a Thursday or Tuesday, maybe generally, every 2 weeks. And so a lot of us all used to work at my old job, and then like gradually a bunch of us have left, and one of the girls never worked there anyway. So I think there's 2 people left now that still work there. We've all kind of moved on, but we're still like local to the town. I still work in that town, and they all live there, so it's quite it's really nice. And they're all really lovely girls and women, and none of us are girls anymore. Yeah, and it's just, they're lovely people. So for Christmas they got me this kit to make this blanket, and that's what's rustling in this bag. So I don't want to get it all out because it's very rustly, but I'm hoping you can see in there I've got all the yarn to make it, because they got me this for Christmas, and that's so sweet of them. And it's in my Unravel bag from a couple of years ago. I think this might have been the first year I went. And yeah, so this is a great pattern for someone that doesn't really know how to crochet, because I can do it. And you have to make like 90 of these hexagons. I've made about 10. I took it on the plane with me on holiday, and I actually got a few done because I was a bit worried about taking knitting, because I know it says you can take knitting needles on the plane, but I've read on like Ravelry and stuff like this where a lot of people had them taken off them, and I didn't want to lose any of my like nice knitting needles. But I thought a crochet hook, they're not gonna, like, what can you do with a crochet hook? I'm sure you could if you tried, but it's not like a sharp object, so I probably could sharpen it, but anyway. And yeah, I took some scissors through and no one gave a shit, so that was really good. I think your blade has to be something like less than 5 centimeters, or if they're longer they've got to have like rounded top or something, I don't know. So it was all fine anyway. But I took this on the plane, and this is my crochet blanket because I love bees, basically. Assume the pattern is to pay for, but it's pretty easy because, like I say, I can do it. And basically you make 90 of these in 3 different colours, and then you crochet them together just like that. So I've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I thought I'd done more than that. I think there might be some in another bag somewhere. I'm gonna rustle for a minute. Yes, I knew I had some more. Oh. Yeah, I've got 4 more here. So, you know, that's a healthy number. This was my very first one, and I've got like a bit here where there's a knot in it, and I just worked through it. So that one might get ripped out. So yeah, that's a healthy amount. 1, 2, 3, 4, 11 of 91. So you do 28 in this colour, it says, 32 in this colour, and then there's a pale yellow which I have in here, and you do 31 in this colour. So those are the colours, and then there's some white which you join everything with, and there's a dark grey to make these bees that go on the top. I am unsure about whether I do the bees or not, but I just think it was more my aesthetic if I don't do the bees and the flowers. But I might make the bees and stick them on like something else. But yeah, I think it's really lovely. It was so nice of them to get me it, and I'm actually doing okay with it. The pattern is almost in my head now, so my friend's making it as well from crochet, one of the girls that got me this, and she's making it as like a baby blanket for someone, and she's got like 50 of them done already, but she is a proper crocheter, whereas I am a fair weather crocheter. Basically, when I want to do my granny stripe blanket or this other project, which I'll tell you about. So those are my 2 real projects. I've still got this bloody sock I need to finish. I don't have a sock on the needles at the moment, so I need to cast on the other one of these, my lovely Twiller socks. So that's, I really just need to cast that on. I've got no excuse why I haven't. I think just there knowing how long that one took me has put me off a bit. And then in this, I'm just going through what's in this gold tray, copper tray. In here, once I've finished my Spindrift shawl, I've got the Nurmalintu shawl. I haven't got a picture of it. It's by Heidi Alander, and I'm going to make it out of this Devon Sun Yarn colour, which I think is called Split Black, but it doesn't have a tag on to tell me what it is, but it's like a black green with light bits in, and it's just like a nice lace triangle shawl. So that's the next project. Get in there. Then finally in this basket I have my little what do you call this, mitered square blanket, though mine I'm pretty sure is just going to be a cushion. But it's coming along. I feel like that's grown a fair bit since I've shown you last time, though I don't really remember. So I've got a few new ones down here, some Christmas yarn. I'm showing you the wrong side, I'm showing you the wrong... No, I'm not showing you the wrong side, I just added those ones a bit weird. So I've got some Christmas yarn, my mum made me some socks out of these. I had some, like my mum had some, made me some socks last year out of these, and I added those in. This is from my All About That brioche. This one, and this one down here were all left over from the unicorn tails, left over from my fragmentation hat by Kiyomi Bergen. And I want these two here as well. This one I made some socks myself out of. These were KK's Christmas sock yarn. My mum made some for a friend for Christmas out of this yarn, so she gave me the end. This was from my Pure Joy shawl. It's the what is it? Ziggy Stardust colourway by I Knit London, and this is what I knit some for my friend out of for Christmas as well. So yeah, it's coming along, isn't it? I think what I'm just going to do is do it until I get bored, but I'll get bored of having it hanging around, and then maybe give it to Frida as a blanket to sit on. So it's still coming along. Okay, when I gather up enough ends to make it worthwhile having a session on it, I do a bit on it. Same with the crochet blanket, which I'm not going to show you. I thought about showing you, but I packed it away so neatly, I don't want to get it out. So these are all my ends down the bottom, and things like that. And then up the top is the blanket, which is almost getting too big for this bag now. I might have two shortly. So yeah, that is, no, one last project, and then that's everything I've got on the needles. So I was in Hobbycraft a little while ago, and no, let me start. I decided in January I was going to try and be, I think I spoke about this, more ethical in my purchases. I made a lot of presents for people for Christmas, and I tried to buy from like local makers, handmade things, just try to think a bit more about where I'm purchasing from, what I'm purchasing, and the waste I'm producing. And in January I tried to, really had this mission to eat vegetarian more often, so have meat as a treat as opposed to a staple, for health reasons, and also because environmental reasons. So sorry, I've got a low battery sign. And then along with that, I've really tried to cut down on my plastic usage, because once you start thinking about how much plastic you use, you realise how much you use. It's absolutely mad how much stuff comes unnecessarily packaged in plastic, And I'll be honest, when I went to America, they're really bad at that as well. Like, I saw apples which are plastic wrapped. Just wash them. Just wash them. Things like when bananas come in a plastic bag. You don't eat the outside of a banana. What's the point of having it in a plastic bag? All this kind of stuff. Anyway, and one of the things I realised I use an awful lot of is I wear makeup most days. I'm wearing today, and cotton rounds. So like cotton pads. I use an inordinate amount of those. I use it 2 every day. So they come in a plastic bag. They are produced, which I don't need to buy them, if that makes sense. So one of the things I am in the process of doing is making some reusable ones. I got this yarn from Hobbycraft. It was on sale. It's the GMC Natura Just Cotton, 100% cotton, made in the EU. And yeah, it's this light beigey pink kind of colour, blush almost. I got 2 because they were like £1.50 each at the time. And yeah, I've made a few of these cotton rounds. I haven't done much with them because I kind of stopped to do some other things. But yeah, because I thought that way, when I'm going to try and make as many as basically as I can make out of these balls, and then once I've kind of finished them, I'm just going to chuck them in the wash. Because I had this conversation with my mum, because she uses paper napkins most days at dinner, or like a paper towel, and I said, why don't you just look at buying, oh hello Frida, why don't you just look at buying cloth napkins? Because I use like a tea towel or cloth napkin with when I'm eating. And she was like, yeah, but then you have to wash them, and isn't that just as bad, washing stuff? And I'm like, yeah, but you're going to put the washing machine on anyway, so like just wait and say you've got enough and you just bung them in the rest of your washing. So it's a napkin or these isn't going to take up a lot of space, so it's not like it's going to be using more water or something silly. So long story short, I need to get on with these because I haven't bought any more, but I know my packet is running out. So yeah, I need to get on with those and make those. But they've got, everything I own has Frida fur on it. Frida, why? So those are in progress. They're just taking their time. And that is everything I have on the needles. And we're 37 minutes in. And my crochet blanket, but right, sorry for slapping that. Let's talk about some things that I've bought. Very crunchy there, Frida. So like I said, I left work in, technically my last day was the 5th of January, but I hadn't been at work really before that for a while. But on the last week, the lovely girls in my team got me this really lovely present, and it made me cry. Basically, they've written this really lovely card which I've got on my fridge, but just it was really sweet of them. So it's from the knitting gift shop. One of the girls knits and crochets, and this is just, I've kept it in the bag to show you because I didn't want to use it. So I see these often at like the yarn fairs and stuff in the UK, and look at how bloody adorable this is. It's a cat stitch markers, these are stitch markers, and a needle gauge. Look how gorgeous. This though reminds me of, do you know, did anyone ever watch Card Captors? It was like an anime thing, a bit like Pokemon or something when we were kids, and there was a little cat in it, and it had like this little thing on its head. This is what it reminds me of. Or Sailor Moon. So yeah, that's so lovely, and I've only got one stitch gauge and I can never find it, so that's adorable. And it's like little Frida. So yes. And then the other thing they got me on here were these cute ass stitch markers that have little cats on. So yeah, they know me well, and that's really adorable. Yeah, I just thought that was really sweet of them. They're just like little snoozy cats. You right there, Bear? So I had a little cry at that, and I do really miss those girls. Like, they really kept me going at the end because, well, it was horrible. And I've just kind of kept them safe in here because I don't want to use them and ruin them. And then, like I said, I went to Unravel, so I've got a few bits from there. But I felt like I was quite restrained because I was going on holiday the week after, and I just felt I needed to be behaved. So I'll show you a few things that I got. One was from what I did notice this year at Unravel. It's a yarn festival in Farnham in Surrey. Is how many different brands there were. Normally you see a lot of the same people you see at a lot of the festivals, and I felt like this year there was a lot of brands that were either new to me or just lesser known, and which I thought was really good. So this was one that I'd not heard of before. This is a brand called River Knits, and I'm pretty sure they live and die on a barge on the river, and I don't know where, so I'll put their link below if I remember. Hopefully I remember, but it's River Knits, and they had some really lovely colours, and this one is called Don't Be Daft, and I thought that would make some lovely socks. So it's sock yarn, Sirens, 100% hand wash, superwash, blue flace Leicester, and 100 grams, 400 meters. Just thought that makes some nice socks. So I know that Jacqueline from Brooklyn Knit Folk has a sock pattern which I bought and I haven't knit, so even though I should be doing these socks, I might do these instead. So that's a to be cast on. Yeah, really like that, and I think this was really reasonably priced as well. I noticed that there were a few stands which are reasonably priced. I think Whimsy Yarn is always very reasonable. Debonair is pretty reasonably priced. Easy Knits. Who else is there that? And I know they're small businesses, but I felt like they've all really shot up in price. If it's like a merino yarn or something like that, I don't mind paying that. But for, I don't know, maybe I'm just being a bit cheap. I just felt like they were quite expensive this year, and I was trying to be sensible. So yeah. And then the other two yarns I got were from Rosie's Moments, which were in like a little back room, and they had a really nice selection of colours and bases, but there weren't much consistency, like really big variations in dye lots. They had three skeins of this yarn. This is Christmas Tinsel, and they were all the same base. So they were all this superwash merino, nylon and stellina, but they were absolutely dyed, and they were just dyed in different ways. Like this one all come up a bit stripy, but the other one was, I just can't describe it, but they were not dyed the same. And I get that like you get different dye lots, but yeah, that's what this one looks like, so I think that's really lovely. I get that you get different dye lots, but they weren't even dyed the same pattern, which I thought was a bit weird, and that seemed to be quite a consistent thing across their stand, but I've done that really badly. This is why I don't skein up yarn for a living. There we go. Yes, so that was my observation, but this was only £13.50 for a skein, so I got two of these, and I thought these would make a nice shawl. I just need to work out what. Yeah, so that's those two, and now I've got the fleece out. Frida's like, what is that? I want to eat it. So I got 3 skeins. Are they skeins? Oh, I thought I'd lost this. Oh, brilliant, that's good. From Hanks Splodges of this yarn. No, it's not yarn, it's fleece. From Fudge and Mabel, who do a lot of felted objects and things, and they had this, which I'm pretty sure she said was Shetland, and it's really lovely. It's not super soft, but it's not really itchy, and it's undyed, and it smells really sheepy, which I'm pretty sure is why Frida likes it. And it's this, what have you got? I don't know, she's got something. Lovely dark brown, and I wanted to get a bit better at spinning because I've spun with that spun with that stuff I got from Spin City, who were there as well again, but I think because they're like what I would call fancy fibres, I don't think it's the best thing to start on, put it like that. So I'm getting better with this. Like obviously I still have my thick and thin bits, but I feel like overall this is a much better ply. That's not it, but you know what I mean. So yeah, I knew I wanted to get a bit more fibre to spin with, so I'm glad I did that. And this is my lovely Spin City drop spindle, that's the word. So I think I've got, these were 50 to 60 grams and I got 3, so that's the best one. I'd left this on my table in this bag that it came in when I got back from Unravel. Went out to the shops, came back home, was putting some shopping away. Frida had managed to get one of these out and unravel it and was trying to eat it. So if I dropped one of those, one of those 3 now. Yeah, she is a naughty bear. So that's all I got at Unravel. So I was very, very well behaved. So that's really everything. I've talked about some stuff I'm going to cast on. Yeah, I'll talk a bit about my holiday, and then there's something I want to share at the end, so we'll get to that. Yeah, so I've just got back from San Francisco, which is absolutely amazing. We kind of booked it a bit, not last minute, but I kept thinking we booked it further ahead than it was. I went with a friend from my old job, who's also just left, and we'd worked on this big deal at work, which is the kind of thing that made me really stressed and really just unhappy with my job. I worked a lot of late nights, a lot of weekends, had to do a lot of travelling, etc, etc. And the company, surprisingly, considering they're not very good at this, recognised that we'd given up a lot of our personal time. So they wanted to reward us, and it was like a massive like landmark deal for the company, and it was worth millions and all this kind of stuff. So they wanted us to be rewarded for it, and my friend who's the account manager really pushed to make sure we got it, which was really nice of her, because she was obviously getting commission and all that. So one of the things we got, long story short, was £500 towards travel anywhere we wanted in the world, and I think as long as it was done through this one company, yeah, which is really quite nice and generous considering I don't work on commission, I don't get big win bonuses or anything like that. Yeah, so that's pretty good. My friend is very well travelled, and she was trying to work out what's the furthest we could get on the money, and she said she found these flights to San Francisco. This was in January for just this week gone, and they were £454 I think each, return. So we thought that'd be rude not to, and then so we booked those, and with the remaining amount of money we also booked to go into the it's not first class lounge, but it's like a lounge you can pay to go in, and yeah, that was really lovely as well. So we got our money's worth basically. Yeah, so we went to San Francisco. The flight was very long. Flying out was about 10.5 hours and back was about 9 I think, but I'm not a great flyer. I don't really enjoy it. These were quite good flights. Out was absolutely perfect apart from crying child. In was a bit more turbulent. Yeah, didn't really enjoy that, but It was a night flight, so I kind of just fell asleep for a bit of it and then, yeah, wake up. Jet lag is a bitch. I've never really had jet lag. So, well, so I went to New York a couple of years ago and that was only 5 hours difference and didn't feel anything at all. And then apart from that, I've only ever really been to like Europe. So, well, yeah, I've only been to Europe, so that's like an hour ahead. So I've never experienced any jet lag. So coming back was horrible, but San Francisco was really, really lovely. It was one of the nicest places I've visited, particularly liked it a lot more than New York. Weather was really nice. I got a little bit of a tan on my forehead. Yeah, it was just really lovely. So really glad I went to Alcatraz. We went across the Golden Gate Bridge. We tried to see some whales. Didn't see any whales. Saw some dolphins, seals, sea lions. Watched a lot of people be sick on a boat. Ate so much food. Really good Chinese, good burgers. Garlic restaurant we went to. Got bikes and went around Golden Gate Park, which is lovely. Like, if you're just from San Francisco, you've got a nice city. Apart from the amount of homeless people, which was quite shocking. Yeah, considering it's like a very progressive city and is really hot on like veganism and vegetarianism and ethical sustainability and all that kind of stuff. And obviously there's a lot of money in the city because of Silicon Valley, and yeah, there was a lot of homeless people, which was quite sad, like more than I've seen in any city in the UK or abroad, like much more than I saw in New York. Like where I live, the city I live in now has quite a big homeless problem and nowhere near as bad as that. It was just quite shocking, I felt. But yeah, that was my observation. So holiday was lovely. Yeah, felt like I needed a holiday to come back from my holiday because we did a lot, but it was worth it. Yeah. And then just been busy with a job, really. Like I said, it's going well and I'm enjoying it. Enjoying my little bear, having her back. So she went on holiday to my mum and dad's whilst I was away, and mum and dad, I think, really quite liked having her. There was loads of snow whilst we were away, and she was supposed to stay here. My mum and dad were just going to pop in and check on her, and then they were a bit worried about getting here with the snow, so they ended up just taking her home, which I thought they might, but I didn't want to say because I didn't want to put her in a cattery because I didn't like the idea of that. Yeah, I'm talking about you. Just pouring at my legs. Yeah, so that's the last couple of weeks, and then yeah, I've got a few things that I want to talk about, but as part of a swap gift thing that I'm doing with Jacqueline from the Brooklyn Knit Folk podcast. So Jacqueline, if you're watching this, stop watching now. Otherwise you're just going to see what I've made you. So I'll give you a minute to turn off. Right. So Jacqueline and I decided to do a swap after Christmas. We were both, I was talking about on my last podcast, like this handmade kind of thing that I'm trying to do. And I wanted to make a lot of handmade gifts for people and things like this. And Jacqueline, that resonated with her, I think, and it was something that she was trying to do as well. So she approached me and said, well, how about doing maybe a swap of some nice handmade things and local buyers and all that kind of stuff. So I've got a little bag of some bits to give her, and I don't know if everything is in here. I think one thing might not be. So I've just tried to find a few things which I think she would like. So start off with the handmade things. So I have these, my mum makes me these cute like fabric book covers, and I think they're lovely, and this one has got two of my little pins on because I didn't know where else to put them for now. So they're there, and I thought this would be a really nice thing to do for Jacqueline, and I was quite into embroidery at one point, like hand stitched. So I decided to make her this little one with her initials on, which yeah, so I've embroidered her initials and some flowers and things. So I thought that would be quite nice. I just need to make it into the book cover, which I'm going to do next weekend, I think. And this bag smells amazing because there's some soap in it, which smells lovely. And then I made a little pin cushion for needles and things, which kind of matches the theme, and a little lavender bag, which yeah, this fabric is really nice. It's from IKEA of all places, and it's got like this nice like rustic kind of slubby weave to it, and I just thought that was cute. And I'm quite jealous now that of this book cover, so I'm tempted to make myself one. So there's a few things there. And then she's getting a few mini skeins of some yarn that I just think she'll like. So this one is one that I made some socks out of. This one I made my jumper out of, and this one is one I knit a hat out of, and I thought those were quite nice colours and kind of went with the whole theme. Then I also made this little, it's kind of a Christmas decoration but kind of not, just like a nice little felt heart thing, because I've got these up in my flat and I quite like these. So got her those, and then the two bought things with these soaps which I thought smelled really lovely. So this is a rhubarb and blackberry one, which is a handmade soap, and it's like goat's milk, so it's really good for if you've got dry skin or anything, and it's free from like chemicals and things, and I thought that was really cute. And that was from a local maker at a fair that I go to. So that was that one, and then finally in this little bag, which I'm quite jealous of actually, and kind of wish I kept for myself, where are these vintage glass buttons. I just thought these are really lovely, and these seem very Jacqueline's style. She's quite into like, I wouldn't say Art Deco, but that kind of style, that feel. And she likes green, and I just thought these were lovely, and she makes a lot of her own clothes and like cardigans and things. So I thought they'd be quite nice for her to put on a jacket or something. So yeah, there's a few little bits there which are going to be sent off probably next week. So I'm popping over to my mum's to use her sewing machine to make the book cover, and then after that, when I get my act together. Yeah, so that's quite nice, and I really enjoyed doing that. So yeah, that's the end of it now. So hopefully, Jacqueline, you didn't watch that, or you've watched it after you've received these products, these things. So yeah, that's everything, and I will hopefully speak to you all very soon, and it won't leave it as long as I did this time. But I haven't really had an awful lot to talk about with you, so swings and roundabouts. I'm going to go have some dinner now because I ate lunch really late, and now I need some food, even though it's much later. And I've got Frida Fur inside my coffee. Right, I hope you're all well. Yeah, speak to you all very soon.